in 6 months, what has Tinubu achieved? Who cares? But anyways, let's get into it. While visiting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka said he would give the president 1 year of grace before rating his performance in office. As would be expected, Tinubu or Soyinka haters have read negative meanings into that. Soyinka, some have said, was only shying away from critically examining Tinubu's performance so far. To others, it is a tacit admission by the Nobel laureate that Tinubu has not done anything worthy of positive evaluation in his first 6 months in office. I mean, to be fair, I don't think we've had a good example of what a first 6 months in office can look like, given our history. I think we should stop having conversations as though we have a standard. We should stop having conversations as though we have reference points to compare to. We don't. We don't have a foundation, let alone, a standard that has repeated itself for a while, where we can say these presidents, when they're in office, they did this in the first 6 months. You can argue that realistically, can any not logical, but can any realistic and effective change be made in the first 6 months? I highly doubt for any president, because you technically have 4 years. But the issue is, why do you care what he has done or what he has achieved in the first 6 months? He's president. I don't get it. I don't understand. This person barely campaigned. This person's campaign was basically full of controversy. This person's campaign and all the signs they gave you as to why they should be your president had nothing to do with what they would do, but how they believed it was their turn, regardless of if you liked it or not. And they stood on business and they got into power. So why do you care what they've done in the first 6 months? All this is a nonsense conversation. It's a nonsense conversation because what it shows is that you are actually powerless. What it shows is that Nigerians are powerless, and regardless, you keep eating the bullcrap the government gives you because they make your lives harder, but you internalize it as working hard and going over the norms, and you work extra hard to survive. Well, some people actually cannot, and some people probably just die away or probably get into crime, or what is the recent solution to jackpot and leave the country. So why do you care what he has done in the first 6 months? Like, as a country, we have a standard or a benchmark of what a president should have done in the first 6 months. It's an unrealistic expectation. It's a counterproductive conversation because we don't even know what the standard is. The abnormal has become normal. So why are we talking about what he should have done, did or did not do in the first 6 months? And then, of course, referring to Wole Soyinka, like, at the end of the day, be smart. Do not depend on other people and I guess their credibility. Yes, people can prove their credibility over time and what they've achieved. And yes, there's social commentators who you can say, okay, you're making sense. Well, as they're human beings, they change. They may have been relevant in the first 10 years, first 15 years of what they were doing in their craft. And yes, because of that credibility, you take what they say seriously. And then on the other hand, it comes to certain points where, like, excuse me, who is this person? You cannot take people's words seriously. And that is why, as an individual, you need to be able to judge for yourself. And not just because somebody said, oh, this president is good, or criticizes something, that they're on your side. No one's on your side. You are on your side. And so, be realistic to the fact that you actually have no power. You have no say. Things are being done to affect the way that you live. Huh? Things are being done to affect the way that you live. You cannot live peacefully in your own country. And then you want to ask questions. Excuse me. Excuse me? What has Tinubu done? Like, are we actually serious? Are you serious? And so, all this big English, I guess, as they say, that people speak, we analyze, we say this, we say that. I mean, how many times does it have to be proven to us that it doesn't matter? That we have built, like, it's when we have done things over time, and that's why it's like, for us to start change is very, very important. Not just start any change. I think we need to, like, literally dismantle everything and start from the beginning. Why? Because we have built the muscle of, corruption. When you do something or build a habit for a long time, how hard is it to change? How easy is it to change? When you have conditioned your mind to act in a certain way, or you have learned certain behaviors, even as an individual at an individual level, how hard is it to start on learning them? And then imagine trying to make this kind of change on a bigger scale. Not saying that it is impossible. But what I'm trying to say is you can't expect the norm when the standard has been abnormal. Like, it doesn't make sense. So asking these questions just opens up another conversation like everything else does, where people come and just give opinions, emotions, and sentiments, and nothing actually happens. We need to leave foolish conversations like this and really think of how we can dismantle the system, because even if Peter Obi, and I dare say that, even if Peter Obi was president, I don't think he'd make that much change. It's not his fault. And that's what I'm saying. You cannot depend on an individual to carry the change and come with the change. Why? Because when they leave with the change. We need individuals that can actually build a system, that can build a system that works on its own, a system that functions by people going in and out, but the system remains. The system remains unshaken. The system remains uncompromised. That's what we need, not an individual coming and we're hyping up the individual. Oh my God, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. He can't do anything. You are useless without a system. You look at the top countries in the world. Yes, they have political issues. Yes, look at Trump. Look at people in top countries. Listen, it doesn't mean that there aren't political conversations. It does not mean that they don't complain about the president, but they do not complain about water and electricity. They have built a system, and because their system has been working fairly to a better extent than ours for years, they're used to a more efficient system than ours. So yes, there will be loopholes and always things to improve on, but not to a level where, you know, you're criticizing a president, but that's where it's at. It doesn't mean that they don't have electricity, that they don't have access to education or healthcare. The way in which they get it can be different, but it's there. The system exists. It's now getting people who can come into the system and find the issues within the system to fix. That's where they're at, and that's why they can complain. Us, we have no system. We have built the muscle of, you know, um, dysregulation. And so nothing is controlled, everything is everywhere. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, what do you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.